Vladimir Putin has spent more than 2 decades as one of the most powerful men on the planet, yet his official paperwork tells a strange story. On record, the president of Russia declares a modest state apartment of roughly 800 square feet, a small trailer, 3 aging cars, and an annual salary of about $140,000. It is the kind of financial picture that would suit a mid-level government employee, not a man widely rumored to command one of the largest personal fortunes in modern history. The gap between the paper trail and the whispered reality is exactly what has fascinated journalists, defectors, and financial investigators for years. Start with the number that keeps resurfacing in Western intelligence estimates and testimony before the United States Senate. Bill Browder, an investor turned Kremlin critic, told lawmakers he believed Putin's true net worth could be as high as $200 billion, built not through salary, but through decades of loyalty payments, kickbacks, and a system in which Russia's wealthiest oligarchs were allegedly required to hand over a share of their earnings in exchange for protection. Other analysts are more conservative, placing verifiable assets tied to his inner circle closer to $4 or $5 billion. Still, an almost incomprehensible sum for a man who insists he owns almost nothing. The most talked about piece of alleged property is a sprawling estate on the Black Sea coast near the town of Gelendzhik, widely nicknamed Putin's Palace. Investigations from opposition researchers describe a complex spanning nearly 200,000 square feet, sitting on more than 160 acres of cliffside land. Drone footage and leaked blueprints reportedly show an amphitheater, an underground ice hockey rink, its own chapel, a casino, and a private harbor capable of receiving yachts. Ceilings are said to be hand-painted in the style of Italian frescoes, with columns and statuary modeled on classical Greek architecture. Even the bathroom fixtures became a symbol of the alleged excess, with reports citing an $850 toilet brush and gold-accented fittings throughout. The estimated value of the property has been placed at close to $1.4 billion, and reports suggest it costs roughly $2 million a year simply to maintain, with a staff of around 40 people keeping it running, even though its true owner has never been officially confirmed. Ownership has publicly been attributed to a billionaire construction magnate with long-standing ties to the Kremlin, and officials have consistently denied any connection to the president himself. Travel is where the alleged fortune becomes even harder to ignore. Reports describe a customized long-range aircraft, sometimes called the Flying Kremlin, said to be fitted with gold-plated bathroom fixtures and valued north of $700 million. Beyond that single jet, various investigations into state aviation records have suggested access to a fleet of dozens of planes and helicopters used for presidential travel, security details, and logistics. On the water, the picture is just as extravagant. A mega yacht, once named Graceful and later renamed Kosatka, has been linked to Putin through shipyard records, since it was reportedly built at a high-security facility normally reserved for Russian naval vessels. The vessel is said to be around 270 feet long, valued near $100 million, and equipped with a spa, a library, a gym, and an indoor pool that converts into a dance floor for private events. Separate reporting has tied members of his personal security detail to an even larger super yacht called Sherazada, worth an estimated $700 million, complete with 2 helicopter landing pads and a suite of satellite communication domes. Ground transportation follows the same pattern of quiet, curated luxury. Investigators cataloging state vehicle fleets have pointed to a collection numbering in the hundreds of cars, ranging from armored limousines to rare collector vehicles. For rail travel, reports describe a heavily fortified 22-car train, complete with a private gym, a spa offering skincare and anti-aging treatments, a Turkish steam bath, screening rooms, and bulletproof glass throughout, at an estimated construction cost of over $70 million and tens of millions more each year to operate and protect. Then there are the smaller, more personal signs of wealth that critics have long pointed to, like the watches. Over the years, photographs have captured Putin wearing timepieces from elite Swiss manufacturers, pieces whose combined retail value has been estimated at several $100,000, a figure that alone would take years of his declared salary to cover. Investigators have also traced networks of secretive shell companies, Cyprus-based holding firms and offshore trusts connected to childhood friends, former colleagues, and people described as close personal associates. Structures that repeatedly surface in leaked financial document collections, such as the Panama Papers and the Pandora Papers.
Beyond the Black Sea Palace, a tally compiled years ago by opposition politician Boris Nemtsov listed roughly 20 properties available for the president's use, plus dozens of aircraft and 4 yachts. More recent joint reporting from investigative outlets in Europe has pointed to a wider web of assets worth over $4 billion, including vineyards, resort properties, and residences scattered across Russia and abroad. One mountain ski resort in southern Russia has repeatedly come up in these investigations, tied through corporate paperwork to a woman reported to have been a longtime personal acquaintance, who also holds an apartment in a glittering high-rise overlooking the harbor in Monaco. None of these links have ever been confirmed by the Kremlin, and the paperwork trail typically stops at a shell company long before it reaches any name resembling the president's own.
What makes all of this so difficult to confirm is the system itself. Almost none of these properties, vehicles, or accounts are held in Putin's own name. Instead, ownership is distributed among a tight circle of longtime friends, former colleagues from his earliest years in St. Petersburg, and business figures who rose to extraordinary wealth after he came to power. Financial experts studying Kremlin corruption describe this as a deliberate architecture, layers of shell companies nested inside each other, specifically so that no single document can tie any asset directly back to the president. Even international sanctions, designed to freeze exactly this kind of hidden wealth, have struggled to penetrate a network built over more than 2 decades. The Kremlin has consistently rejected every one of these claims, insisting that Putin lives modestly within his declared means, and that state resources are used strictly in accordance with the law. When pressed publicly about accusations of hidden riches, Putin has occasionally brushed off the questions entirely, once remarking that his true wealth is measured not in money, but in the trust placed in him by the Russian people. Whatever the real number turns out to be, the pattern across nearly every independent investigation tells a consistent story. A man who officially owns almost nothing, surrounded by a universe of palaces, yachts, aircraft, and fortunes that never quite trace back to his name, hidden in plain sight behind one of the most carefully constructed financial mazes in modern political history.